guys, welcome back to my channel and hello, hi. I cannot believe that 2021 is ending and this is the monthly wrap up for November 2021. So as every month, if you have not seen my monthly wrap up playlist yet, go ahead, check it out. It's in the description box below. What I do is I talk about all the books that I read in November, and I do that in the form of the least rated book to the most rated book in the entire month, and that's what we are going to do here today as well. So I have all my 4-star, 5-star, 3-star reads on this sticky note, and let me just put on my spectacles on, and now we are good to go. Okay, so let us start with the books, right? Let's start with my least rated book of this month. And for me, the least rated book at 3.7 stars is Filthy Animals by Brandon Taylor. Now, let me be very, very honest. Brandon Taylor, for me, is a very, very interesting author, right? Because he writes a lot of experimental literary fiction, like literary fiction meets contemporary fiction. And for me, that's like a huge deal, and I absolutely loved his debut novel, which is called Real Life. But Filthy Animals did not work for me. Basically, it's like a collection of disjointed stories, and you kind of keep meeting the characters in each story, although like they are not supposedly like the main character in that story, if that makes sense. So it's like an amalgamation of characters, and I absolutely love like couple of stories. I really liked Anne of Cleves. I also liked Mars, but then the rest of the stories did not work out well for me, although there was that kind of joined nature in the book, if that makes sense. Yeah, but the thing is, like, if you are like a huge fan of Brandon Taylor, or if you're trying to get into Brandon Taylor, then I would highly suggest to not read this book. Read Real Life, don't read this book, okay? Because I think this is like where people who have already known him kind of will like enjoy, because not all authors like churn out bestsellers, right? And I do think Real Life is a much better book than Filthy Animals. So yeah, this is like my disappointing read of the month. But other than that, I've had a great reading month, and there are a lot of books that are at between 4 and 5 and 5 stars. So let's just jump right into it. So before we get started, let me just be very honest that 4-star books are the books that you should keep on your radar, and 5-star books are those that you need to pick up ASAP. Okay, so that's how I do it. So what I recommend generally are 4 and 5. Anything that's like 2, 3 or whatever, it's not recommended. I would not let you like go with a bad recommendation from my videos and from my channel, but you get my point, you get my gist. So we have a lot of good 4-star books and recommendations for you, and I hope you listen to all of them, because maybe this is something that you want to check out and stuff like that. So the first 4-star book that I finished this month was this one. This is Wanderers King's Merchants by Peggy Mohan, which talks about Indian languages and their history. Okay, so this kind of breaks a lot of myths, especially the biggest myth that we learn in school, and that is Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. No, I don't think I hit a nerve, or even if I hit a nerve, I apologize. But then with proof, with absolute proof, Peggy Mohan, who is a professor of linguistics, proves to us that there is a reason why Sanskrit is not the mother of all languages. Also, there are a lot of like myths that come along with Indian languages that she tries to break, and the most recent phenomena being the situation of Hinglish, or the situation of like mixing English with Indian languages and not being able to speak the language in itself in a pure format. That is something she criticizes as well, because language in itself keeps evolving, it keeps building, but if it gets getting attacked by like other languages, that's something that we need to sort out. So I absolutely loved reading this book. Absolutely, it's highly recommended. My only caveat that I would like to mention before you get into it is that it is academic linguistics. Okay, there are a lot of concepts of academic linguistics explained in the book. So if you're someone who does not like languages or does not like linguistics, maybe you can skip over those parts, but then they are very integral to kind of breaking the myths that I just mentioned. I specifically picked up this book because I love languages. I know 5 myself. Yes, I know. No, I mean, those are not bragging rights. The thing is that my interest in linguistics runs pretty deep, and it's too bad that I'm an engineer. So, yeah, that's that. Highly recommended if you're interested in a topic, in the subject, and looking for some academic reads with respect to languages and their origin. So, that being said, the next book that I rated 4 stars was again a physical copy, and that's this one. This is People on Our Roof by Shefali Tripathi Mehta, which is kind of set in the late 90s, early 2000s, where we have Naina, whose mother has been diagnosed with schizophrenia and her sister is autistic, right? So we live in a society where there's a lot of like stigma with mental health, and this is more of like a coming of age story because she gets to know a lot about her family and her family background as she takes care of these people around her. Also, it's more like, she needs to make ends, she needs to do a lot of things to make ends meet as well. She needs a job to survive, and it's like an amalgamation of coming of age and chick lit, which I absolutely enjoyed. And I've read Shefali Tripathi Mehta before, and if I may tell you like what book should you read by this author, then I would say read this first and then read the other, because I like this much better than Stuck Like Lint. Okay, so yeah, I recommend this one as well, but do go ahead and check out the description, and if it fits your tastes, then this is the thing that you will absolutely like. So yeah, that being said, the next book that I rated 4 stars again, so this time again it's a non-fiction book, and that is this one. This is The Death Script by Ashutosh Bharadwaj, Dreams and Delusions in Naxal Country. So I have spoken about this book a lot on my weekly reads, and this is also like long-listed and shortlisted for the NIF Book Prize. It did not end up winning, sadly, but you see the number of like flags in the book. It kind of talks about a lot of, I would say, situations that Naxalites go through, that the police in the red belt go through. And Ashutosh Bharadwaj has seen both the sides of the coin because he's also lived with Naxals. Like he's actually camped with them as a journalist to understand their means and method, which is brave, to be honest. And he's also like been to police stations, interviewed like CRPF professionals, or the CRPF force, like the police force. He has also kind of interrogated like certain IPS officers and certain army officers about the entire problem. The thing is that if you're someone who does not like non-fiction and you're transitioning from fiction to non-fiction, then this is the book that you should read, because reading the book you'll understand how much our author loves fiction. Ashutosh Bharadwaj absolutely loves reading fiction books, and he's kind of incorporated this form of diary entry sort of format because he's been writing this book since I think 2011, when he started actually an investigative journalism process in Buster and all the areas that have been captured by Maoists per se. So it's a very interactive read, and I absolutely loved it. My reason of giving this book 4 stars and not 5 stars, because I'm raving about this book, as you know, is because I felt like I wanted like more perspective and more nuance. Like the book is more nuanced and like it has a good perspective in itself, but I was looking out for more, and I did think that on some level the book kind of was biased. But then that's only something that you get to realize in retrospect and not while reading the book. Because while reading the book, it's a very, very surreal experience. So, yeah, I hope this convinces you to read the book. And that being said, let's get to the books that I rated between 4 stars and 5 stars. So basically every month there are books that I rate between 4 and 5 stars, simply because they do not deserve to be a 4, or they don't even like deserve to be a 5. And for me, like this month I have 2 books in this particular list. So the first book in this list that I read earlier this month, I'm just fetching it right now, and that is The Last Lecture by Dr. Randy Pausch. The late Dr. Randy Pausch died due to pancreatic cancer, but before dying, he wrote this inspirational, sad book which talks about his lifetime and his life lessons. And let me tell you, I really enjoyed this book a lot. And how do you rate like a person's life, right? How do you rate a person's life, their destiny? And my rating like means nothing to what this book actually has to offer. Now if you are someone who likes self-help, who likes reading, I would say uplifting life messages in general when someone is facing death, then this is the book that I would recommend that you read. For me, this was a gift, and I'm not at all a self-help person, but still it left me very impressed, especially because of Professor Posh's background and his life lessons that he had to offer. So over here also you can see a lot of like sticky notes, which I absolutely liked. And the next book that I rated 4.5 stars again is Cobalt Blue by Sachin Kundalkar, translated from Marathi to English by my favorite Jerry Pinto. Now finally, yes, I took the time out to read this book. It's a pretty short book, to be honest. I think it's just like 1 hour 30 minutes on the Kindle. Absolutely recommend this book if you've not read this yet. It's not bad. Like the thing is, I do wish that I got like a POV from the concerned person mentioned in the book as well, and you will know this when you read the gist of the book, because basically this book is about two people, like a girl and a boy, falling in love with the same man. Okay, and we don't get like a perspective of the man, but what the reason why you need to read this book, and there are no spoilers in the book, okay, it's just like you need to read this book because of the writing. You need to read this book because it's like a very surreal experience reading it. Now for many people this is a 5-star read. For me this is not a 5-star read, it is just a 4.5-star read, because I wanted perspective from the man himself. Okay, so yeah, but I recommend it, considering there's a Netflix movie also coming out. I highly recommend this book for sure. Okay, so that being said, let's get to the stars of this video, and those are my 5-star reads. So basically the first book that I rated 5 stars this month is this one. This is Lost by Siddharth Dhanband Shangvi, and I have a separate video literally detailing my thoughts about the book. Like I've dedicated like 9 to 10 minutes of my life raving about this book on camera, so I'm not going to do it in this particular video, but I request you to go and check it out. It is down below in the description box, and let me convince you, this is Indian literary non-fiction. Okay, so if you've never read something that's literary non-fiction and Indian, I'm sure you've not, this is the book that you have to absolutely read. But for more convincing and for more information, check out the video in the description box. And that being said, the next book that deserves its own video again, but I've not posted it yet, and that is this one. This is Dune by Frank Herbert, and recently there was a movie also released. It took me a long time to finish this book. It was a huge ass book, and later on I switched from like the physical copy of the book to an audiobook plus ebook setup as well, because I wanted like the 360-degree experience. But what can I say? Like, what a brilliant book. Frank Herbert is an amazing author. The world of Dune is beautiful, it's amazing, it's scary at the same time, and basically what can I say, right? If you do not know what's the story, it's about the Atreides family and their son Paul, who is supposed to be the one. Okay, now of course I'm not going to give you terms and stuff like that, and it's Paul's story, right? It's about the story of the downfall of the Atreides house, and the, you know, it's like the downfall and the rising kind of situation. The reason why you should read this book is because of the absolute lovely interpretation of the whole scenario. And I am not a fantasy person, but I read this book and I absolutely loved it. That's all I'm gonna say. But maybe I'll make like a video adjoining this one, like dedicated to it. Okay, so yeah, that's that. But that being said, yes, those are the books that I read this month. I think I read 9 books this month, right? I think 9 is the number. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one more book missing somewhere. Well, apparently I did miss a five-star book, and that's why editing Jyotsna is making a cameo here. So the book that I rated 5 stars, other than Dune and Loss, is Nothing to Envy by Barbara Demick. And let me tell you, I'm a huge Barbara Demick fan. And if you're a fan of political nonfiction or historical nonfiction, I think this is the book that you should read per se, because you know, this book is basically about North Korea and how North Koreans who've defected live. And the book is written in a very special format because it's like you are getting like the book is investigative journalism, but what you're getting at the end of the day is storytelling. Okay, because the book starts off with the story of a couple, and you know, it's like a young couple, they are just dating, and dating is kind of forbidden in North Korea, for example. So that's how the story starts, and I absolutely liked the way Barbara Demick actually wrote this book. And if you have not read Barbara Demick yet, let me tell you, she's chef's kiss. She's one of my favorite non-fiction authors. I've read her Eat the Buddha as well, which talks about the Chinese occupation of Tibet. And you know, she writes a lot of stories, or I would say she's lived along in Asia in order to, specifically China. That's what I remember, because she was in China for 7 years, reporting for her. I'm not sure which newspaper was she working for, or is she still working for, but she's also a part of the UN, like that. So anyway, yeah, just wanted to drop in and tell you how much of a fangirl of Barbara Demick I am. Now that being said, I'm sorry this happened, but let's move on because now the video is going to end. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this. Honestly, November has been an amazing reading one for me, and I'm really very much looking forward to December. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.